It's a beautiful day here in Union, and this is from the top porch looking at Peters Mountain. There's the beginning of Indian Creek, Byrnside branch right there. And this is second story of the front porch. I've just gotten all the windows open up here. There's the original cherry banister. This is the 1810 section of the log cabin. Just pried open all these old windows. Some big old floorboards there. And then this is the older section of the log cabin. So those hopefully are all intact logs back there. It's a big fireplace there. This should be all logs. Just got that window open. You can see the plaster over the logs. It's going to be fun. And the fireplace is covered over by tin. Really the first bit of exposed plaster we have on the second story of the oldest portion of the log cabin. There should be logs behind that plaster. You can see there's several layers of old wallpaper here. And we just ripped off some of the first bit of plaster of the second story of the 1770 structure. Ripped off the old 1850s plaster and the furring strips, and there is the first glimpse of the old 1770 log fort blockhouse. You can see the hand-hewn marks, and you can see the evidence of an old whitewash on the interior. This is the fancy kind of foyer that was put in the 1850s by Christopher Byrne, real wealthy guy, leader of Byrne's sharpshooters in the Civil War. Really nice cherry banister that he had installed. Put in these beautiful floors over actually the original fort floors, I believe, underneath. But this is the original downstairs of the fort I've been working on the past couple of days. You can see the original fireplace right there. You can see how the big beam is charred from fires from long ago. And this fancy mantel was put in, I presume, in the 1850s as well. I don't know exactly how we'll handle that, but you can see they had these cutouts on either side, and it has original hand-hewn framing around it. Still trying to figure out, they're too narrow for a regular door, and they're the height of a door, so they're not windows, and they're original to the log cabin structure. I don't know, maybe they were installed after it was no longer needed as a fort, or maybe not. But there's one on each side about the same distance apart. I really can't figure out what it is. But I'm working on it. Anyways, this is all original log fort that I've exposed. Had 1850s plaster over it. But you can see how all the chinking is all with stone, essentially making it bulletproof. Most of the log cabins I've messed with before, including the one I've restored, all has wood chips or wood blocks in between. This is the only one I've seen that has pure stone in the chinking. A lot of the original chinking exists. You can see that's original. See how primitive it is, really kind of clay looking. And then some areas were rechinked, like this. That was rechinked at some point. Well, maybe not, that might be. I believe there's probably several generations of chinking here. That looks like it was rechinked at some point. That's original chinking. But it's really solid with the stones instead of wood. That's Bobby the cat. He likes demolition work as well. Haven't really started on the original fireplace there. Really excited to get more into that. Knocked a hole in here just to make sure the logs were there. You never know what you get. Obviously we weren't allowed to open the logs until we bought the place. Fortunately the logs were there, so I was confident they would be. And so this is all original fort. Everything on this side of the stairs, so it was a huge log structure. I mean, the trees don't get much longer. This is the 1810 edition. You can tell this is a later period log cabin. Chinking's like still perfect. They had painted it at one point and they had whitewashed it before that. There's an old math problem. 46 plus 83 equals 129. That would have been done before the Civil War, because that was 1855 or earlier, we believe. The plaster, it's all cut nails. So somebody did that a long time ago and even wrote in the chinking. Some more right there. And so that means this is outside of the original fort. This would have been the west wall outside. You can see original chinking right there. It's very obvious. Ancient looking. And this even had a whitewash on it at some point. But look at the big rose head, hand-wrought nails sticking out of this thing. That's an indication of very early construction, generally 1700s. And the rest of it is all put together with wood pegs. Haven't opened much in this room yet. There's a wonderful, huge bookcase, probably made here on the property or in Monroe County, West Virginia. Wonderful place. The family we bought it from generously let that stay with the house. We begged them for it. So it's always going to be here for as long as we can help it. And there's another. This is going to be the nicest fireplace probably in the structure. You can see the huge stone hearth floor. It even extends further than you can see. Just kind of knocking holes to see what we're dealing with. We noticed the logs were taken out when they put this window in right there. I don't know about that corner section, but so far I'm very, very happy with almost all the logs are there except for where there's windows. Upstairs, and there's an entire addition onto this house, but right now I'm just working on the logs. This is upstairs of the old fort. Gotten a lot cut out in here. Kind of see what the ceiling's going to look like in here. Beautiful attic floor. Nice beams. I've opened that up. There's a beautiful kind of stone arch in there. It's gonna be a nice fireplace. It looks like bricks, but it's not. It's cut stone. It's really nice. Not much light up here, but you can see there was a window right there, just a cutout for a window. But they enclosed it when they made the house bigger. And found this, I believe it's a shooting port right here. It's got a little lip right there, so probably had a block that sat in there, and then you could pull it out only from the inside. Use it to see or shoot or as a window. Just some more of the logs, really perfect condition. Haven't found one rotten spot on any log. Because they continue to live in this house, they preserved it perfectly within walls on both sides. Really couldn't ask for more. Found that shoe behind the plaster. Hey, Bobby. And this is the where the old fort, this would have been the southwest corner of the old fort. You can see where it joined together, really beautiful craftsmanship, all done by hand. And so this is upstairs of the 1810 edition. And so it's really interesting. I uncovered this. You can see how they join the newer log section to the older log section. When they put this window in, apparently wasn't there when they put the 1810 logs on, because this is how they joined it. They put a log vertical and they hollowed it out, kind of like a canoe. And they perfectly hollowed it out using an hand auger. And then the logs would slide in perfectly. You can't really see, but there's logs down there and up here above and below the windows, so you can see where they slid in perfectly to form this wall. And I would expect an identical one on that side. So again, here's the west side of the original fort right here. At some point they whitewashed it because it was an interior wall after they put the addition on. Again, you see huge rosehead nails sticking out of this thing. Probably take out those modern closets right there, because we're going to expose all the logs in here. And this is going to be a great room. They still have, they didn't lay the new flooring in the 1850s over it. So you still see what the old log cabin flooring would have looked like. It wasn't tongue and groove. They were just kind of sat in there. Can't recall the name for it. But the chinking was all gone out of there, and those were 200 years worth of bird nests I cleaned out. I've opened that up. That's going to be a beautiful fireplace, and you can see they had another huge hearthstone in there. And I fully expect there to be all logs in here, and this should all be logs all the way across. But basically this is all a time capsule. I mean, there's 1937 newspapers just sitting there where they were last set down. We've gotten a lot out of here, but there's still a lot of stuff in here. And again, there's a whole addition on the house, which is as big as the house itself. And here's my favorite part about the house, is the view. As you can see, it sits up on a bluff and would have been really the perfect spot for a fort, because you got the creek down there, you got a big spring down there, and then behind the house there's a cave spring. I mean, literally a cave you can walk into with a huge spring, and it could have been within the fort stockade. So not only do you have a high position that's very defensible, but you have your own water supply that could be within the fort. And it probably explains why it was never directly attacked. But this would have been the fort for the Union, West Virginia area. The other closest fort would have been Cook's Fort in Greenville, and we know that the Virginia militia that were garrisoned here and garrisoned in Cook's Fort would range back and forth patrolling the frontier. Here's the upstairs of the old fort section. Most of the plaster now down. Nice ceiling. One missing floorboard from the attic. It's sitting up there, just needs to be put back in. Two different size windows over the years. That one's obviously older on the right. That used to be the back wall of the house. You can see here's the progress in the newer log section, upstairs bedroom. A lot more of the plaster down. Well, we figured out why the plaster roof kind of slopes towards the front of the house. Evidently, they raised the roof on the north end. You can see where the original joist went in. At some point, they put another beam up there and raised the roof another 10 inches or so. You can see some original windows for when that was the exterior of the house before the addition went on. And there is the original outside had been the west wall of the fort. You can see there's no windows or doors. There you can see how they joined the logs on the original fort. It's very well done V-notch. And this is really interesting. This is how they put the log addition on in 1810. They took one big hewn log and they hollowed out the center with an auger, and the new log walls, they made a special notch that would slide right into what they hollowed out, so it would fit right in there. And we had the same thing on the other side. You can see a later chinking right there, and there's the original chinking. That's what it looks like. Again, stone. Very nice fireplace over there. Really nothing to be done, just cleaned out. It's been a long day at the fort out here. We had some great people come by and really probably did more work than I did, and I really appreciate it. We really put a dent in some of the stuff that needs to come out of the house. And really it's been great to have help because some of the stuff was so bulky. You can see that this room, finally, this door hadn't even been opened because it's been blocked. Almost have this room clean. Just a little bit more. This room is already pretty clutter-free. It just needs to be cleaned and chinked, and we need to deal with the stonework. I'd really like to get rid of all these coffee mugs. If nobody wants coffee mugs, they're just gonna have to go in a trash bag. Oh, George, you're not supposed to be in here. good. This is the room probably we got the most out of. So we need to get the rest of the plaster out of here. There's lots of furniture here that's gone now. This piano will stay back up against that wall. The bookcase will stay, and somebody needs to adopt this great Art Deco, mid-century modern couch. Really, it's a cool couch if anyone has a spot for it. Really, it's the last big thing in this room that we need gone. And then we can carefully get the rest of the plaster out of here, and all the rooms will be plaster free. This will be a nice log cabin room. George, you're not supposed to be in here. And we have lots and lots of books. Not the historic books and that belong to the family. We're keeping all those, but just lots of novels, murder mysteries, probably romance novels, I don't know. Patterson novels, all sorts of stuff. And I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with all those if we don't give some away. I know there's more books up here. Yeah, look at all those books. It's hard to see with no light. That sewing machine cabinet, there's a Singer sewing machine in there that needs to go if anyone's interested in that. That dresser, that table can go. We're keeping the rocking chairs. Those go on the second story porch. That desk can go. That entire bookcase can go with all the books. Not a whole lot in here. This is pretty cleaned out. That chair can go. That baby bag can go, if anyone's interested in that. I don't think there's really anything left out here. It's a beautiful day today. Those chairs are staying. Oh, yes, this is a perfect Christmas present for someone you really love. We can wrap it for you. They'll just love Christmas morning. Oh man, that'd be so funny. Yeah, that was found in the attic. It's pretty crazy. I'm not sure why I have it on the porch out here, but it's one of the highlights I like to show people. Some other stuff. If we walk back here, it's a big house. That dresser, it's that desk. That desk can go. Antique armoire, that can go. Hey, there's a clawfoot tub back there. That probably can go as well. Dresser there. Some furniture. Basically, I'm keeping that dresser right there. And most everything else in here is up for grabs. There's some beds, some 500-pound box springs. If you really like your heavy old vintage box springs, we carried one of those today. It was a strongman event, basically. Again, more books. We got lots of books. And usually, they're not really the kind of books I like to read. So we got some more beds. Some nice old Victorian era beds. Really, no reason to keep them in here. Some trunks. Nice trunks. More books. Sewing supplies. Just lots of little knickknacks. More books. books. I'm not even sure what's under that pile. Just lots of little things to go through. Oh, record player. We got rid of a few things in here today. There's a couple things left. That bag can go. Probably going to keep that little table. That little armoire can go. Those chairs, I'd have to check with Julie, but I'm pretty sure those can go. They're not really my thing. That can go, I believe. Hey, and that kind of matches with that bed that's in the other room. So this could go together, really. And then there's a pile of stuff in the smokehouse and in the garden shed and in the garage. So just been sort of overwhelming trying to get rid of some of the stuff. But we did put a big dent in it today, and I really appreciated the help. Isn't that right, George? Here's the fort this morning. It's looking good. It's just muddy, really muddy. It's really been wet. It's the Indian Creek down there really flowing. And there's Bobby. What's up, Bobby? Huh? How you doing, buddy? The entryway. This wasn't there. It was pre-Civil War, but it wasn't there originally in the fort. That was all just a solid wall. The inside downstairs, the original fort. See a loophole of some sort, spy hole. There's no window there. And this was a door, original entrance. There's where the palisade or stockade wall attached. You can see that it was bulletproofed originally with rocks for chinking, and that was a support, I presume, for the stockade wall. So the back wall of the fort downstairs, shooting port, nice big one. upstairs. Okay, here we are at Burnside's fort. This early partition wall just got painted and to fill in all the holes with joint compound. Nice white paint over it, looking good. And we started on some of the rechinking. That was sort of our first test area right there. It needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Kind of see how we're doing this using a wire mesh, and then we're leaving as much as we can where there is original chinking or original stones still in place. We're just leaving them right where they are to just maintain the historical integrity as much as possible. So it's not going to look as good as it was if we redid all the chinking, but we're leaving as much in place as we can. So what we used here is basically a dyed concrete mix called Flamingo C73, I believe is what it is. About 3 parts of C73 and, 3 parts of sand of a particular color, and to 1 part of C73, a little bit of water, and turning out perfectly. Thanks to YouTube. So this is the original fort section right here. This would be the southeast corner. And got the primer coat on this partition wall as well. And as for right now, we're going to leave where the stockade wall attached to each side, just so it can be seen. Rainy day here today at Burnside's fort. Well, I should say this evening. There, I just cleaned out the old bookcase. Hadn't been cleaned in a long time. All the books are getting ready to go back in it. And here's how the main level of the fort is looking. Pretty good. And the upstairs west bedroom. Still have to install the light in here. And the east upstairs bedroom. This is part of the original fort upstairs. See how they like to paint around the oilcloth rugs. These walls, these partition walls were restored as well. Hours later, as they say on SpongeBob.